Welcome to Daily English Dialogues channel, where we take complex communication scenarios and give you the fast track to functional fluency.
We are diving deep today into a topic that seems, well, deceptively simple on the surface, scheduling an appointment.
Right.
But as advanced learners already know, it's actually a real proving ground for structural clarity, sophisticated vocabulary, and really understanding cultural etiquette in professional and social English.
That's so true. Our mission today is to cut through all that complexity and give you the specific high-value phrases and, maybe more importantly, the organizational strategies you need to manage your time and your calendar effectively in English.
Exactly. We're moving way past just the beginner stuff, asking when can we meet.
Yeah.
We're going into the confident, nuanced communication that's really required for those higher stakes situations. Think job interviews, important client meetings, even critical doctor's visits.
And to do that, we've looked at a whole range of dialogues, haven't we?
We really have. We've synthesized conversations from, well, all sorts of contexts. Booking a dentist for a specific procedure, navigating a tricky business negotiation time slot, even just managing the logistics of service appointments, like getting someone to come fix something in your flat. The goal was to pull out the universal rules, the common threads that run through all these interactions.
So what we're aiming for is to provide you with a clear roadmap, how to initiate contact effectively, how to expertly negotiate time, confirming everything with precision, and crucially, how to politely and professionally cancel or reschedule when, life happens and plans change.
Absolutely. This is really the difference, isn't it, between just knowing English words and actually operating fluently and confidently within the English-speaking world. It's about practical application.
Okay, so let's start by defining our terms. When we say appointment, what exactly are we talking about? Most people jump straight to the formal stuff.
Yeah, the doctor, the job interview, maybe a parent-teacher meeting, that kind of thing.
Right, but the sources we looked at suggest the scope is actually much, much broader. And interestingly, the communication structures needed are pretty similar across the board.
That's a key insight. An appointment really is any kind of time-bound commitment that requires you to schedule it in advance.
Okay.
So yes, it definitely includes the very formal things like scheduling that physical examination or a dental checkup where you need specific equipment or personnel available.
Sure.
But it equally includes what you might think of as more informal but still structured interactions. Meeting a client for lunch, for example, or arranging for a contractor to come over and assess some damage to your property.
Or even just organizing a study session with classmates.
Exactly. Even that requires coordinating schedules. And regardless of how formal or informal it feels, the foundation is clear, structured communication around time.
And this is where it connects to, say, business English skills, right? If you're aiming for functional fluency in a professional context, mastering this is non-negotiable.
It really is. Thinking of managing your schedule this way, it's a core professional skill. It doesn't just boost your productivity, which is obvious.
Yeah.
But adopting this kind of organized approach, it genuinely alleviates a huge amount of communication stress. You feel more in control.
So where do we start? With the organization itself, before we even pick up the phone.
Precisely. Let's talk organizational excellence. These are the habits that make the actual scheduling conversation go much more smoothly later on.
Okay.
The sources are really emphatic about this. You have to treat your calendar as, well, almost sacred. The absolute non-negotiable first step is using some kind of central planner. Could be a physical day planner, but more likely now, a digital calendar like Google Calendar.
Something accessible everywhere.
Yes, accessible on any device, phone, tablet, computer. That centralization is key.
And then building a routine around it.
Absolutely. Establishing that daily habit, checking that calendar the very first thing you do each morning, it sets the tone.
It's like a mini planning session for the day.
Right.
Where am I supposed to be? When?
Exactly. A moment for visualization. Now, here's a more strategic piece of advice that came up, going beyond just basic timekeeping.
Great.
When you find yourself needing to make multiple bookings around the same time, you need to prioritize ruthlessly.
How so?
Rank them. Which one has the highest stakes, the tightest deadline? Which one is hardest to reschedule if something goes wrong? Schedule that one first.
That makes sense. It gives you the most flexibility for the less critical ones afterwards.
Precisely. You lock in the most important thing, then fit the others around it.
But wait, doesn't that sometimes clash with the idea of, geographical efficiency? The sources mention trying to group appointments in the same area?
That's a really good point. How do you balance criticality versus convenience?
Yeah, if the most critical meeting is miles away from everything else.
It's a judgment call, but the sources suggest a hierarchy. Geographical grouping, scheduling things in the same general area on the same day, should be your default efficiency booster. Saves travel time, saves money, saves hassle. However, if that high priority appointment dictates a completely different location, the priority wins. Criticality trumps geography.
Wow.
You only group geographically when the appointments have, let's say, roughly equal importance or flexibility.
Got it. Efficiency is great, but it's secondary to making sure the most important things happen.
Exactly.
Okay, speaking of travel and saving hassle, the buffer time. This feels like more than just logistics. It's almost an etiquette point, too.
No, it absolutely is. It's a necessity, really. You should always calculate a cushion. The sources suggest between 15 and 20 minutes minimum for travel, even for short distances.
Why so much?
Think of it as your professional insurance policy. Unexpected traffic happens. Public transport gets delayed. You might struggle to find parking. Showing up late, flustered, out of breath, it just immediately undermines the professional image you're trying to project, doesn't it? That buffer protects you.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And here's a slightly old school tip that came up I thought was brilliant, especially in our hyper-digital age.
Oh,
Making a simple printed phone list of your crucial contacts for the appointments you have that day.
like a physical backup.
Exactly. If your phone battery dies, if you lose signal, if there's some tech glitch, that little piece of paper suddenly becomes invaluable. You can still call the office from a landline or borrow someone's phone.
That's actually very smart. Low-tech redundancy. I like it.
Okay, so we're organized, we've got our buffers. Now let's move into actually initiating the contact, making that call, or sending that email.
Right. Whether you're dealing with a receptionist at a hair salon, a medical assistant, an executive assistant at a big company, politeness and clarity right from the start are absolutely key. They set the tone for the whole interaction.
The sources highlighted some foundational phrases that kept appearing. For formal situations, especially in writing or maybe a very formal call, you might start with, "Good morning, I'd like to make an appointment."
Simple, clear, polite. A slightly less formal version, very common on the phone, is just, "Hello, I'm calling to book an appointment."
And if you're not even sure you've got the right place,
A good inquiry phrase is something like, "Hi, is this the right number to schedule an appointment for service doctor's name?" Get straight to the point.
but the core thing seems to be immediate clarity about why you're contacting them.
Absolutely. You need to be clear about the service you need right away. Don't make them guess.
So something like, "Can I schedule a dental checkup?" Or, "I need to make an appointment for a haircut."
Precisely. Or maybe, "I'd like to book a consultation regarding my plumbing issue." State your name, state the reason. Basic protocol.
But here's where the sources suggest moving beyond the basics into more advanced, proactive communication. It's not just about getting the appointment.
Right. You need to manage the process. So once you've stated your request, the advanced learner immediately inquires about the expected duration.
Asking things like, "How much time should I allocate for this appointment?"
Yes, or, "Could you give me an estimate of how long the appointment itself will take?" And, also crucially, is there usually a wait time before the appointment that I should factor in?
Ah, that's smart. It shows you respect your own time, which, as you said, commands respect from them.
Exactly. But equally critical, maybe even more so in some contexts, is the policy inquiry.
You mean about cancellations?
Yes. You must ask about cancellation policies and procedures right there at the point of booking. Don't wait.
Why is that so important?
Because our sources showed repeatedly that many professional services, doctors, dentists, consultants, even some salons, impose penalties for late cancellations.
Like, they charge you anyway.
Sometimes a partial fee, sometimes the full charge, especially if it's less than 24 or maybe even 48 hours notice. Knowing that policy up front is a critical part of the whole scheduling transaction, no surprises later.
Okay, that's a really vital tip.
Yeah.
Now it's like modality. Phone versus email versus texting.
Good question. The consensus, especially from the professional dialogues, is pretty clear. For formal appointments, you either call or you email.
No texting.
Generally, no. The exception might be if you're just arranging lunch with a good friend or a close colleague you text regularly anyway. But for anything involving a business transaction, a professional service, booking with someone you don't know well, texting is usually seen as too informal, unless the business specifically asks you to text them, perhaps for confirmations later.
So call or email for the initial booking. Which is better?
Email is often preferred, especially in professional settings now. It provides an immediate written record, which is helpful for everyone.
Okay.
And if it's a first appointment, if they don't know you, you absolutely need to provide some brief background info in that email. who you are and a concise reason for your request. Don't make them dig for information or guess why you're emailing.
Makes sense. And what about suggesting times in that email?
Yes. This is key for getting a faster response. Don't just say sometime soon or when are you free? That puts all the work on them.
So be more specific.
Be semi-specific. Give them a framework to check against their schedule easily. Something like, I'm generally available next week, particularly on Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, or I'm hoping for an appointment the week of October 1st, perhaps in the morning.
That narrows it down for them. Much easier to handle.
Much easier. Now, this ties into something really important for advanced learners. Understanding and using the email formality spectrum.
You mean adjusting your language based on who you're writing to?
Precisely. Recognizing the situation and adapting your level of formality is a hallmark of advanced fluency. It shows you understand the nuances of professional communication. We can break it down into maybe 3 core levels.
Okay, let's start at the top. Super formal. Maybe a potential major client, a senior executive you've never met.
Right. For formal communication, you need those professional salutations. Dear Mr. Smith. Dear Mrs. Jones. The language itself should be polite, perhaps slightly indirect, maybe using more subordinate clauses.
Could you give an example?
Sure, something like, I would like to arrange a suitable time and place to meet to discuss the proposal we recently submitted. I am writing to inquire about your availability for a brief 30-minute meeting sometime next week. You see, very structured.
And the closing.
Formal closings like sincerely or perhaps respectfully, followed by your full name and title.
Okay, makes sense. What about the middle ground? Neutral.
This is probably the most common for internal business communication, colleagues you know reasonably well, or routine administrative requests. You can often drop the dear for a simple hello or hi first name.
And the tone?
It's direct but still courteous. The focus is more on efficiency. So an email might read, Hi Sarah. Quick note to see if we can connect next week regarding the Q3 budget review. Could we meet on Thursday afternoon, or is Friday morning better for you?
More concise.
Definitely. And the closings are typically best regards, kind regards, or simply best, followed by your first name.
All right. And the informal end of the spectrum. Close colleagues, maybe, longtime collaborators?
Yeah, where the communication is faster, maybe more project-based. You might even skip a salutation or just use hey. The language is very direct, often uses contractions and common phrasal verbs. Can we get together to talk about the latest figures, or got a few minutes tomorrow to sync up on this? Very brief, action-oriented.
And the closing.
Often just your name or maybe cheers or thanks. Mastering this ability to shift between formal, neutral, and informal really ensures you project the right image in different situations. It's a key skill.
Okay, so the initial contact is made, the request is clear. Now we enter the negotiation phase, finding a time that works for everyone. This seems like fertile ground for specific vocabulary.
Oh, absolutely. This is where you hear a lot of those high-frequency phrases related to scheduling. The person checking the schedule might say things like, okay, let me just check the books, or one moment, I'll just see if we have any openings.
Standard administrative talk.
Right, or if they're busy, they might explain the constraints clearly. The only time we have available on Saturday is in the morning, I'm afraid. Or we have very limited capacity next week. Just managing expectations.
Now, you mentioned earlier that specialized fields, like medicine, have their own unique vocabulary here that can sometimes trip up learners.
Yes, definitely. It's worth highlighting a few common ones beyond just schedule a checkup, which is pretty general.
Right.
The assistant might ask if you're due for a physical examination or just a physical. That usually means the more comprehensive annual checkup.
Okay.
They'll almost certainly ask, especially if it's a larger practice, have you been to Dr. Evans before? Or are you an existing patient?
Standard stuff.
And then you'll hear, okay, let me pull up your file or let me pull up your chart. Now, pull up here is interesting.
It doesn't literally mean pull something.
Not physically, no.
Yeah.
In this context, it's office systems jargon. It specifically means to retrieve or open your electronic record or data within their computer system. It's about accessing information digitally.
Ah, I see. Good to know. What else in a medical context?
If you call sounding unwell or describe urgent symptoms, they might ask, do you think you need urgent care?
Which isn't the same as the emergency room.
No, exactly. Urgent care is typically for non-life-threatening issues that still need prompt attention, like a bad cut, a sprain, a fever. It's a step down from the ER, but quicker than waiting for a routine appointment.
Got it. And you mentioned the term a slot earlier?
Yes. This is crucial. We have a slot available at 2 p.m. or I might be able to find a slot for you on Tuesday.
Meaning just an available time.
Yes, but it's more specific than just time. A slot implies a predefined block in their schedule, maybe a 15-minute slot, a 30-minute slot, an hour slot. They're offering you a specific fixed duration opening within their structured day. It's not just any random time, it's a designated block.
Okay, that nuance is helpful. Now let's get to what you call the aha moments, those common colloquialisms for scheduling that really make you sound fluent if you use them right. First up, does that work?
So simple, so common, so important. If a time or date works for you, it just means it's convenient, it's suitable, it fits your schedule.
You hear it everywhere. Does 3 p.m. work for you?
Exactly. It's the go-to phrase for checking suitability in pretty much any context, formal or informal.
Okay, what's next? Fit you in, right.
We're quite busy, but I think we can fit you in at 4:30. This implies adding something new to an already existing, probably quite full schedule. Often by making a small adjustment, maybe shortening a break slightly.
And the stronger version, squeeze in.
Yes. Look, my afternoon is packed, but maybe we can squeeze in a quick 15-minute call around 2:00.
That sounds more pressured.
It does. Using squeeze really emphasizes how little free time is available. You're literally imagining wedging this new activity into a very small gap between other demanding things. It highlights the busyness.
Speaking of busy, let's talk about the adjective tight. As in, my schedule is really tight this week.
Very common way to describe a packed schedule with little room to maneuver. Things are a bit tight on Friday. It's functional, definitely.
But you mentioned a caveat about register.
Yes. While saying your schedule is tight is perfectly fine in casual conversation or with peers, you need to be a bit careful using it in, say, a high-stakes negotiation with an important external client.
Why is that?
It could potentially sound a little defensive, maybe slightly informal, or like you're making excuses. It depends on the context and tone, of course.
So if your schedule genuinely is packed, but you need to maintain a very professional, formal tone, what are the alternatives to tight?
Instead of saying it's tight, you'd use phrasing that emphasizes commitment and managing capacity. More formal options could be, my schedule is fully committed until Thursday afternoon, or, unfortunately, we have very limited capacity next week, but allow me to check our later slots.
Still conveys busyness, but sounds more controlled.
Exactly. More structured, less apologetic or casual. It's about choosing the right level of formality for the situation.
Okay. Now, another phrase that popped up in both formal doctor dialogues and more casual service examples was about tentative booking. I'll pencil you in.
Yes. Pencil you in. This is a great one. It means to schedule the appointment, but tentatively, provisionally.
Like it's not 100% confirmed yet.
Right. It holds the space for you, but it might be pending confirmation of something else. Maybe the doctor needs to confirm lab availability, or the salon needs to check if a specific stylist is definitely working. It manages uncertainty while still securing a potential time. Very useful phrase.
This seems like a natural point to tackle a common grammar hurdle. Those little words, prepositions of time and place, at, on, in. Even advanced learners mix these up when confirming appointments.
They really do, and getting them right instantly makes your English sound more precise and professional. It's all about fixed pairings. Let's break it down.
Okay, let's start with on-en.
On-en is used for specific days of the week and specific dates. I'd like to come in on Saturday. Our meeting is confirmed on Friday, January 14th. Can we meet on Tuesday?
Days and dates, got it.
There's also a modern usage. We use on for specifying digital platforms, like we can discuss it on Zoom, or I saw the update on the company internet. But for scheduling, think days and dates.
Okay, what about AT?
AT is for specific, precise times on the clock. Would you be available AT 3:00 p.m.? The appointment is AT 10 a.m. sharp. Let's meet AT noon.
Precise times. Makes sense.
And finally, IN. In-N is generally used for place. Let's meet in the lobby. But for time, it's used for less specific parts of the day, months, years, or longer periods. I'll call you IN the afternoon. The conference is IN October. He started in 2023.
So general time frames, not specific clock times.
Exactly. A very common mistake is using in for days, like saying, I will meet you in Friday. No, it must be on Friday. Mastering these on days, dates, AT specific times, IN general periods, places, makes your scheduling communication crystal clear.
And just quickly, what happens if you combine them, like morning and a specific time?
Good question. The specific time usually takes precedence. You'd say, I'll see you in the morning, general time frame. But if you add the time, you'd say, I'll see you at 10 in the morning. The at for the precise time overrides the in.
Ah, okay. So the most specific preposition wins.
That's a good way to think about it. That kind of fine-grained control really signals advanced understanding.
All right, this brings us to the inevitable reality. Plans change. Things come up. We need the diplomatic toolkit for changing or canceling appointments without causing offense or sounding unprofessional.
This is so crucial. There's a clear three-step protocol that emerged from the sources, which you should pretty much always follow when something unexpected forces a change. Doesn't matter if it's a huge meeting or just a haircut.
Okay, step one.
First, apologize sincerely. Start with, I'm so sorry, but, or, unfortunately I need to, or, I apologize for the short notice, but, acknowledge the inconvenience.
Step two.
Give a brief general reason. The classic phrase here is, something's come up. We'll talk more about that phrase in a moment, but keep it brief.
And step three.
Immediately suggest a new time or ask about rescheduling. Don't just cancel and leave it hanging. Show you're still committed. Could we possibly reschedule for next week? Or would Thursday at the same time work instead?
Apologize, brief reason, suggest new time. Got it. Now, the vocabulary for how you suggest the change is interesting. There are specific phrasal verbs for moving time around.
Yes, these are really useful for sounding fluent and precise in professional scheduling. Two main ones for shifting. If you need to meet later than originally planned, you use pushback.
Example.
I'm running a bit late, I'm so sorry. Can we push our meeting back by about 15 minutes? Or could we push the deadline back to Friday? It works for short delays or longer ones.
Okay, pushback means later. What about earlier?
The opposite is bring forward. Used less often perhaps, but very useful. Actually, my previous appointment finished early. Any chance we could bring our meeting forward to 2 p.m. instead of 3?
Right, it suggests efficiency maybe?
It can, yes. Using bring forward correctly shows a sophisticated command of scheduling language.
And then there are more general terms.
Yes. Postpone is very common. It generally means to move something to a later, often unspecified time. It's often used when the change is due to external factors you can't control, like a snowstorm postponing a flight, or maybe a key person being ill.
And reschedule.
Reschedule is the simple, neutral, all-purpose verb for just changing the time or date of anything already planned. We'll need to reschedule our call. Can we reschedule for next Tuesday? Very straightforward.
Okay, let's circle back to that phrase you mentioned. Something's come up. You said it's classic and indispensable. Why?
Because it's the perfect way to signal that your schedule has changed unexpectedly without having to give unnecessary, elaborate details. It's polite, but brief.
So you don't need to explain what came up.
Generally, no, and the etiquette here is really important. Use this general explanation, I'm afraid something's come up, rather than launching into a long story about your car breaking down or sudden family issue.
Why avoid the details?
Because too much detail can sometimes sound like you're trying too hard to make an excuse, which can actually undermine your credibility. Sticking to something's come up maintains a professional boundary. You state the situation, apologize, and move straight to rescheduling.
And there was a critical etiquette point about not implying something else was more important.
Absolutely vital. Never, ever imply that you're canceling or rescheduling because something better or something more important came up. Saying something's come up just means an unforeseen event or obligation has disrupted your plan. If you say, sorry, I have to cancel, I got invited to a more interesting event, well, that's just rude.
Yeah, clearly. It shows a total lack of respect for the other person's time.
Exactly. Now, sometimes you have to cancel altogether, not just reschedule. What are the best practices for doing that with grace and diplomacy?
Immediate action seems key. As soon as you know you can't make it, make the call or send the email. Don't delay.
And especially if it's short notice, right?
Yeah.
Less than 24 hours.
Definitely call in that case. The sources stress this. A phone call shows more sincerity and urgency when you're causing a significant inconvenience close to the time. Email might seem too casual for a last-minute cancellation.
Good point.
What else? Offer a sincere apology and maybe specifically emphasize that you value their time, especially if they were doing you a favor or if the appointment was complex to arrange. Something like, I'm really sorry for any inconvenience this causes. I truly value you making time for me.
Acknowledging their effort. Nice touch.
And crucially, the cancellation should almost always lead directly into trying to reschedule, even if you're the one canceling.
So try to lock in the new time before you hang up or finish the email.
Ideally, yes. Show you're still committed. It helps if you can offer maybe 3 or 4 specific alternative slots that you know you are free for. I'm so sorry I have to cancel tomorrow. Would any of these times next week work for you? Tuesday at 10, Wednesday at 2, or Thursday at 11? Makes it easy for them.
That's very proactive. And what about compensating for the hassle you've caused?
That's a nice touch, especially in a professional context. You could offer to meet somewhere more convenient for them next time, maybe closer to their office. Or, if appropriate, suggest switching to a virtual meeting via Skype or Zoom if their schedule's really packed to save them travel time. It's a gesture of goodwill.
Good idea. Finally, on this topic, what about that informal phrase, can I get a rain check?
The rain check. This is definitely more casual. You use it when you have to cancel or decline something, often social, but you want to make it clear you do want to do it at some point in the future, just not right now. The new time is usually undecided.
So it's like saying, I can't make it this time, but let's definitely do this another time soon.
Exactly. Often used with friends or close colleagues. Sorry, I can't make drinks tonight. Can I get a rain check? It postpones indefinitely, but with positive intent.
Okay, great. So we've initiated, negotiated, maybe even had to change or cancel. What's the final crucial phase?
Confirmation and reminders. This is all about locking things down, minimizing no-shows, and managing expectations clearly.
And it needs to be active confirmation, right? Not just assuming everything's okay.
Absolutely. If you're scheduling on the phone, you must repeat the key details back before you hang up. Okay, great. So just to confirm, that's Dr. Smith at 3:00 p.m. on Thursday the 14th at the downtown clinic. Verbal confirmation.
And if it was done by email?
Send a brief follow-up confirmation email immediately after agreeing on the time. Just summarizing. Confirming our meeting on date at time at location platform. Looking forward to it. Creates that written record.
And beyond the initial confirmation, the professional standard now really involves proactive reminders, doesn't it?
Yes, usually the day before. A quick email, maybe a phone call, or increasingly a text message.
And the data on text reminders is pretty compelling.
It's staggering, actually. The sources quoted things like a 98% open rate for text messages. 98%.
Wow.
And something like an 8 times higher response rate compared to email confirmations.
Yeah.
So if you want someone to see the reminder and ideally confirm back, text is incredibly effective.
So, for anyone listening who communicates with clients or customers in English, especially in a service business, knowing how to craft effective confirmation texts is a really valuable skill.
Definitely. And there are best practices. They need to be brief, super clear, and importantly, compliant with regulations.
Okay, break down the best practices. What should be in that text?
Use the recipient's first name. Personalization helps. Clearly state the business or employee name they're meeting with. Include the full date and time, obviously. And critically, include a clear, specific call to action.
Don't just send info, ask for a response.
Exactly. Something like, hi name, confirming your appointment with business person tomorrow at 10 a.m. Please reply C to confirm. Or reply yes to confirm your booking for date time. Make it easy for them to respond.
And you mentioned compliance. What's that about?
This is crucial, especially dealing with U.S.-based contacts or companies. You generally need the customer's explicit permission they're opt-in before you start sending them informational or marketing texts.
That's the TCPA, right? Telephone Consumer Protection Act.
That's the one. Practically, it means they need to have agreed somewhere, like checking a box on a form or agreeing to terms that they're okay receiving texts from you. Businesses need to be really careful about this to avoid hefty fines. Transparency is key.
And that transparency extends to the cancellation policy we talked about earlier.
Yes. If you have a cancellation policy, especially one with a fee, it's smart to include a brief reminder of it in the confirmation message.
So something like, reply yes to confirm your 10 a.m. app tomorrow. Please note our 24-hour cancellation policy, details.link, to avoid a fee.
Exactly. It manages expectations, reinforces the policy, and might deter some last-minute no-shows. It's proactive.
Makes sense. And finally, even in the confirmation, you should still make it easy for them to change plans if needed.
Absolutely. Always provide clear, simple instructions on how to reschedule or cancel if something has come up for them. Don't make them just reply to the automated text with a complicated message.
So include something like, if you need to reschedule, please call our office directly at phone number during business hours.
Precisely. Give them a clear channel for making changes. It maintains flexibility and is always better than them just not showing up because it was too hard to cancel.
Right. Okay, that covers the full life cycle pretty thoroughly.
It really does. We've gone from the foundational stuff, like just getting organized with your calendar, all the way through to the sophisticated phrases for negotiation and change.
Yeah, things like the specific medical vocabulary, pulling up a file, understanding what a slot really means, and those key phrasal verbs for time, push back, bring forward, plus the etiquette around something's come up.
I think the biggest takeaway for me, and hopefully for everyone listening, is that mastering appointment communication isn't just about memorizing phrases. It's a really tangible, practical step towards that real-world fluency we talked about.
I agree. It requires more than just vocabulary. It's that blend, isn't it? Organizational skill, understanding cultural etiquette, having that diplomatic touch, ensuring you sound both professional and polite.
Being clear, concise, and confident in managing your time and interactions.
Exactly. So now that you, our listeners, know the phrases for navigating a schedule that might be tight, and you understand the etiquette for a smooth cancellation or reschedule, the real challenge is to start applying it.
Put it into practice.
Yes, we really encourage you to consciously integrate one specific, maybe more advanced phrase or technique from today's deep dive into your communication repertoire this week. Perhaps try using those formal alternatives if your schedule is fully committed, or maybe consciously use "I'll pencil you in" when appropriate.
So the final thought for you is this. What is the one phrase or strategy you heard today that you will make a point of using the next time you need to schedule, reschedule, or confirm an appointment to really assert your time boundaries confidently and professionally?